Hello and welcome to Plato's Cave, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on Revolution Radio. That's right. Home to ideas and thoughts and meanderings, ruminations, and general streams of consciousness. If that's your thing. The station is not supported by anyone. So if you can, please donate. Any currency is good, including crypto. It's all good. It's all good. But maybe you can't. That's okay too. I dig it. I think you understand. There are more and more people in the street. When I go to work, when I go shopping, more and more people in the street. People that have jobs are now living in the street. Look at that. Insane. But you can tell people about the station. That'd be great. Maybe one of those people can donate. Because we need it. There's no one else. There's no corporate sponsorship, no government sponsorship, no three-letter agency sponsorship. So, considering how many of them connect to the station, you'd think they have a little bit of a
throw
stake
some
there.
money in.
Eh? Just a couple of bucks. Come on. Make it rain. That's okay. Today is the 12th of March. March.
I know,
2024. We are a third into 2024, and I still haven't got a flying car. Not happy, Jen. Not happy, Jen. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, and onto your smart device on the line all the time. So grab it up to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. Hey, maybe you're listening from the Secret Space Program. Let us know. Drop us a line. K-off the Secret Space Program. We love your show. That'd be cool. Archives are free. That's pretty good. Archives are free. So, not a good reason to donate. Get all the content you want. It's a whole bunch of stuff, hopefully, that you like. Hopefully, you like what Dave and I do. And you will listen to our content, of course, but also listen to our channel elsewhere. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, and today it's a doozy, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it's the Bunjalung.
thank you, sir. And for myself here, of course, in what was today very hot Pamela way, it's the Iraq people. And we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. Thank you very much. Yeah, today is a doozy. I spent a lot of... what a shock. Dave,
Why was it a doozy, Mickey?
It's a doozy. I'll tell you why. I watched a lot of documentaries and current affairs and a whole bunch of news channels in different languages. Because that's a good thing. Trust me, a different perspective.
That's what I do too, yeah.
Because the Germans, or Europeans maybe in general, except for the English, report the news very differently to the Anglo-Saxon-backed news agencies. Very different. It's a very different kind of coverage. I watch a little bit of other news as well, as far as I can make it out, Spanish, Italian, French. And I do watch Korean and Japanese news. Not that I understand much, but I can get the gist on what they're reporting from the pictures they show. And it's a very different media landscape. If you are lucky enough to speak a language that is not English, your world opens up significantly. I guess the same could be said for Mandarin speakers if you speak any other language than Mandarin, and that would be a good thing. Your world opens up significantly. My little boy just walked into the room here. Not sure what he's looking for. Should be sleeping. 1 second. Give me a second, guys. Dave, why don't you tell us about your madness now and see what's happening here?
Sure. I think there's another language in China. It's an ancient one, like Fonhausen or something like that. I don't pronounce it very well. Anyway, I've discovered something really extraordinary. And I'll let you know what that is. Shortly after the original... Are you back?
I'm back.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna start. So shortly after the Spanish flu, there was a thing called the sleeping sickness. Not very well advertised. I'm just gonna say that. It's called encephalitis lethargica. It's what it's called.
Like a brain inflammation that makes you lethargic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the science behind it. Yes, that's right. So, it was first described in 1917 by a neurologist. Okay, when was the Spanish flu?
Hang on, let me think. Yes, I finished thinking just about then. It sort of
Exactly.
came to close, well, more or less in 1919, but that's about the right time.
Yeah, that's right. So this is when it was, you know, when it was about. And it also caused 500,000 deaths on its own.
Hmm.
Now, in amongst all the others, yeah, not so good. But look, if you've had COVID, then you might be familiar with some of these: high fever, sore throat, headache, lethargy, double vision, displayed physical or mental response,
Hmm.
like delayed response, sleep inversion, and catatonia. In severe cases, patients may enter a coma-like state. Anyway, so apart from, don't have to go into the cause, and I'll actually paste. Oh, I didn't do middle screen. I'll paste in to the chat the link to it. Now, I've heard some doctors talking about this is making a return. Isn't that extraordinary?
um, well, so
It's not the connection between the two that is extraordinary. That that the words are coming out of their mouths.
oh, I see. What I find extraordinary is the 100-year interval. Because remember we discussed this. If you look at pictures from 1919, 1918, 1920, right? It was very similar to what was happening in 1919, 1920, sorry, 2020, 2019, 2021, all around the world. The masks, the social distancing, I guess the isolation at home, which
That's right.
yeah, back then in some ways it was easier, but also a lot harder. And certainly the disease couldn't spread as fast as SARS-CoV-2 could, simply because people didn't traverse the globe at the speeds that we do. But yeah, I find it amazing that there seems to be a repetition. I wonder, I don't know if you want to have a look, Dave, but I wonder what else followed in the wake of all of that. You know?
Well, here's something strange. So the pandemic of this virus itself was 1915 to 1926.
Yeah.
That's how long it was about in the environment. So, it started as a new illness and then just kept going through the population, back and forth here and there. And there's something here that says many surviving patients of the 1915 to 26 pandemic seem to make a complete recovery. Yay! So I'm not going to fall asleep every single day during the day for some reason. That's almost like narcolepsy. But if I'm doing something, I don't fall asleep. But I have this, it's an urge to go to sleep. But I just have a coffee and I get through it. But I'm wondering, when I saw this, I'm going to be honest, I kind of Dr. Googled myself as being a victim of the new one, because now they're talking about it being out there. Very slight voices, maybe even whispers, of some doctors talking about this at the moment, right? Because, you can talk about things kind of now when you couldn't a couple of years back. I don't know why, for some reason. So I've likened my symptoms to the symptoms that are prevalent there, but I haven't been diagnosed by a medical professional who will probably be a little hesitant to do so anyway. But hopefully that this comes out. Now, my question is, I wonder if they're both associated with each other. The Spanish flu and this encephalitis, and the COVID and a version of encephalitis that has so far yet been undiagnosed in the mainstream. Back to you in the studio, Mickey.
I think there's a raft of conditions and ailments that came out of SARS-CoV-2 because it attacked the brain. So we know there's some kind of brain inflammation, which is encephalitis, is brain inflammation.
That's right.
So we know that is definitely a thing. We know that extreme fatigue is a thing in long COVID sufferers, certainly. Yeah. But it also attacked other organs, and that's why I said I wonder how many other things are going to come our way. And look, people are still dropping dead.
Yeah.
There was in fact, this hits very close. One of my colleagues runs. He's a trail runner. It's like not much younger than me, but he's doing very well. I think he's quite fit. And one of his friends that he runs with, he just had a heart attack on the trail just last week, and he died.
Really?
Yeah, he died. And quite a fit guy by all accounts. I just think that this thing is going to hit you. And there's really not much you can do about it. It's a time bomb. We're all sitting on a time bomb because we don't know what's going to happen. It's a new thing, right? And that's what makes it a little scary. I see quite a few car accidents, and I wonder, right? Are these car accidents the result of people losing consciousness or having a stroke or a heart attack? I don't know. Look, I don't know, right? Or other things. I mean, just generally accidents, right? Or house fires. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
It's because ultimately, let's say there's an accident or a house fire or whatever, and maybe the trauma is so severe that an autopsy would never reveal what caused.
There you go. Yeah, that's a point.
So look, I don't know. All we can go by is excess deaths, and we know that the excess deaths have been in the millions, statistically speaking.
Globally, yeah, that's right.
So that's a fact.
Did you know in England, Becky, they've redefined what constitutes excess deaths?
What's
to bring the numbers down.
Well, any death that we don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I think we're going to see a lot more of that because look, there are lies, damned lies, and statistics, right? So I think you can prove anything you want if you ask the right questions and you have got the right set of numbers you focus on. But I did want to. Sorry, this is part of the craziness that Dave mentioned.
Sure, go ahead.
But the craziness that bothers me is this. We are living in a time where we have wars going on in areas that we don't want wars. Now, the Middle East has always been a powder keg. Always has. What is happening now, though, and what precipitated it are two unprecedented events. So the attack on Israel in October, and as well as Israel's response, both of those are completely unprecedented in their ferocity, even in the region. Okay, so that's number one. I'll come back to it. Number two, the invasion of the Ukraine has mobilized all of Europe, all of Western Europe, against Russia. Countries that have a tradition of hundreds of years of neutrality, chose the side. They chose to join.
That's right.
NATO. Now, this is. I mean, you have to understand. In fact, for me, the jig will be up when Switzerland joins NATO, right? That'll be the last straw. But you have to understand just what it means for the Scandinavians, to join NATO and be part of that, because they have always prided themselves on their neutrality, right? Yeah. But now, where you had this invasion, which is now in its third year, by the way, the weekend invasion, it sort of, look, it didn't come out of the blue because there had always been, I guess, some military activity in the region, and certainly, certain areas had already been
kind of cross-border
Well,
stuff.
there was, yeah.
But the
But
border
this,
never moved.
no, but this is a full-on war with hundreds of thousands potentially, or it seems that way, with hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of casualties and an enormous expenditure, militarily speaking.
Mechanical costs are really high,
but
yeah.
you have to understand that some people are making enormous amounts of money here. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to focus on Russia because they're running out of anything modern. I think it's just they're going back to maybe the next one's World War One landmines. I'm thinking might come back out. No, but America is the world's largest weapons dealer by far.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one comes even close. Okay, and I find it disingenuous of the Americans to point finger and call certain individuals terrorist enablers, etc., etc. If you stacked up the debt that are the responsibility of the United States and their weapons, I reckon it would stretch all the way to the moon and back. Okay?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Probably further. But the point is this: right now, the Ukrainians need American armaments, especially bullets and rockets and things like that. That's what they need: ammunition and bombs. And do you know what would happen if the United States stopped supplying Israel with armaments? Do you know what would stop? You know what would happen? The Gaza conflict. The Gaza conflict would finish. I mean, it would be all over. Without the American bombs and such and rockets and all the other stuff, the Israelis would not be able to continue their fight in Gaza. So it seems to me, and I'm using the word again, disingenuous of Biden to say, oh, you really have to be careful with the civilians there, and Netanyahu, you got to take care. Well, Mr. Biden, he's dropping your bombs on those people.
That's right.
You are giving in the bombs. It's like, how can I put this best? It's like you're a teacher in school, right? And there's a bully, and the bully, beats up on the kids and gets the lunch money. And you go to the bully and say, look, just don't beat up on those kids anymore. Just don't do it. Okay, all right. And the bully goes, oh yeah, and gives you $20, which is your cut of the beating up, okay, of the other kids. That's what this is. It's ridiculous. So we have the Ukraine. I fear may go on for quite some time, and it may lead to the involvement of NATO forces. If that happens, all bets are off. Don't know what's going to happen. I will not make any predictions, but it's possible now because everybody's talking about boots on the ground.
That's right.
And the threat of invasion that the Scandinavians are feeling must be quite real.
It's very real for them.
They would never have asked to join NATO if they didn't fear Russia, or, well, more to the point, Putin. Now, yeah, go on.
So when we grew up, Mickey, we had the possibility only of nuclear war. Only the possibility. Yeah, the duck and cover thing, and look at the skies. Look to the skies for the truth. Are there missiles coming? No. Game, just play on, right?
Game on.
But if you've got a neighbour that's invaded one of your neighbours, hang on a minute. What's going to stop them doing that to me? And that's been the big problem. And I've even seen a story that Kaliningrad can't remain.
But
that's now that story.
Yeah.
So to delete it, going, no, you look at you misbehaving over there. You can't have that. And what's the one on the western side of Ukraine? That little bit that Russia owns there too. Whatever that is.
It used to be Prussia. It's Kaliningrad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's one up in the North Sea, and there's one that goes to the sea in the south. The Crimea.
Yeah,
not just to the left. I'd have to show you on the map.
Okay, that's probably better.
Anyway,
No, the other left.
yeah. So on the Ukraine's western border,
Yes.
there's a little strip up between them and or whoever their neighbour is that is also Russian owned and controlled.
It's via Russia. I mean, I don't know if you, but that's a whole country of its own.
So
Let me see.
not the east, but the west.
Okay, so there's Moldova, but that's independent country.
Yeah, between. So there's a little strip that goes down the river to the Red Sea.
Okay.
I forget. It's Russian controlled.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I'm going to pull it up
Yeah, that's probably a
because
good idea.
I know what I'm looking at.
Good man. Look at you looking things up.
Yeah, look, I can.
Hey?
Yeah. It'll take me a little while to get through.
But look, but Dave is right though. It's. I mean, Ukraine has a border with Poland. Poland has a border with Germany. That's how close we are here, right? So, it's not good. Is what I'm trying to say to you guys. Kaliningrad used to be Königsberg. That's in the east at the North Sea. But you're not talking about that one. You're talking about something else.
Yeah, so between Lithuania and Poland, that strip that Russia.
Oh,
owns
that's
up
Kaliningrad.
there. Yeah, that one's Kaliningrad, but down where Moldova is.
Moldova, yeah, I can see Moldova. Yeah.
Yep, good. That's all right. So down there is where I'm talking about. So the little strip that goes between just near Odessa up that river into Moldova.
Okay, Odessa and down it goes to Vilkove or Mila. Down the next country it borders on is Romania.
Birhod or something. I don't know. It's up in that
goes down
river.
It goes down to the Romanian border, right? That's the one you mean.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's a little strip there that is Russian controlled.
No, that's right. So that's Moldova, right?
Yep.
And then you've got Odessa, and then there's a little, I guess, not like a peninsula, but like a little piece of land that is bordered by Ukraine, Moldova, and Romania.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's what you mean, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's right. That's correct.
So they're talking now. Romania's talking about it. That they don't. That should be deleted, and so is Kaliningrad. But it's going to take a lot of effort.
Well, Kaliningrad is extremely controversial because that was Prussian or German for a long, long time. In fact, a lot of Germans still live there, ethnic Germans, right? So it's Opa. Look, it's hard to do anything in Europe without stepping on someone's toes.
Yeah,
but if you look at the map though, right, you realize just how close all of these things are.
Mm-hmm.
The conflict in the Balkans isn't really that far from Ukraine, right? And Europeans got involved there because they didn't quite like that. But the problem here that we have with all of that is that the Americans are making a lot of money supplying a lot of armaments. Okay, so yes, the American government might give it away to the Ukraine, but they're selling it to Israel. Having said that, the people that manufacture it in America, they're selling it to the American government to give to the Ukraine. Okay, so people are making a lot of money right now. Israel will not stop until Gaza is Palestinian free. I can tell you that without any doubt in my mind whatsoever. None. The two, and I've been researching this a bit now, the two people in Netanyahu's cabinet whose names escape me now are extremely right-wing.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, when he speaks openly, says, there's no such thing as the Palestinian people. No such thing. The Palestinian people don't exist. So, ergo sum, cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am, but more to the point, quater demonstrandum, and this is all the proof we need. If the people don't exist, we can't commit genocide on them. Makes sense, doesn't it? Well,
From a certain point of view, it does, yes.
But who are you? No, who are you genociding? There's no Palestinian people. It's insane. But nonetheless, there we are. So Gaza, and I've seen now the pictures of Gaza. It's
I feel like driving a wasteland, Mackie.
It is. It's a moonscape.
That's right.
It's a moonscape. It's and there's still 2 million people there, you know. But they will be pushed out into the Sinai, which is the the desert here in Egypt. They're going to be pushed across. I think they're going to be pushed across the Rafah border into the Sinai, which is again the Egyptian desert there, and then they'll never be allowed back in, ever. At which point, I think all the focus is going to shift to the West Bank.
And then let's start again.
Well, yeah. In many ways, I think what we're going to see is significant. You have to understand that Netanyahu and his cohorts do not want a two-party solution.
Mm-hmm. In
fact,
that openly.
They allowed money to come into Gaza to support Hamas in order to kill the two-state solution.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say it again slowly. The Netanyahu government allowed money to come into Gaza to support Hamas.
In order to generate an opposition.
Yeah, to the Palestinian Authority, with the express purpose of killing any chance at a two-state solution. There will never be a two-state solution.
Yeah, so I'm going to say at the end of that phrase, prove me wrong.
Well, good luck with that. And you can't, because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I mean, once you, and now I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial, and people will hate me for it. And that's okay. I don't mind, because
hate mail bag at the ready, sir.
Oh, look, I believe that the October attack had been known about in Israel at the highest levels, and in my opinion, just like the other attacks that we know about, it was allowed to happen to further a political aim. Because the thing is this.
Kind of like the idea of Pearl Harbor, Mackie.
Exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
In order to, and yet, look, people say, oh, nobody would do that, Mackie. Look, if you're a student of history, you know I'm right, because ultimately, any sacrifice is pretty much worth attaining a political goal, especially one that would have legacy written all over it.
Mm.
If Benjamin Netanyahu succeeds in bulldozing Gaza and getting rid of the immediate Hamas problem, meaning it is no longer on my doorstep, right? That's really what we're doing here. Then that's a great legacy in his mind. That's a great legacy. Wonderful. And there will never be two states. In fact, like I said, some of his political allies say there is no such thing as a Palestinian people. The Palestinian people do not exist. Okay? That's Hitler. That's now, Hitler denied Jews human status. He said,
that's right.
No, Jews aren't human beings. They're not human beings, right? I mean, so whatever we do to them, that's okay. It took decades for him to actually get that mindset beaten into some of the German people, not all of them, but some of them. It took him years. This is very similar, where you say, well, these people don't exist. This is a non-existing people, right? They're not saying they're not human. Sure, they're human, but they're not Palestinians. So, what is this country Palestine you speak of? Doesn't exist. So it's all around the justification, but you also have to understand that Israelis know this. I mean, a lot of Israelis, they're not stupid. They see this, and they don't like it. You've got protests. You've got Israelis protesting their own government. Okay, they've got an active opposition to all of this as well, where they say, "Stop this! This is insanity." I mean, think about this for a second.
We're not seeing that in the media.
We don't, but I do because I watch other news channels. So I
Mhm.
see it. But the problem here is this. So this has been going on for a long time, and people have bad blood, blah, 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 whatever. You've now killed 30,000 people. 30,000 people you've killed, right? And maybe entire families, maybe not. But if you killed 30,000 people, you've created an army of 300,000 that
Yeah.
have nothing left to lose, maybe more. The more people you kill, and you can't kill them all. That's the thing, right? The thing is, if they could, they would. But if you killed them all, then you could. Okay, it's problem solved. But you can't. You can kill many, and by the time this is all said and done, my estimate, because they said this war could go on for another year or two. That's from the Israeli side. My estimation would be around 100,000 casualties on the Palestinian side, minimum. 100,000 minimum. Because they haven't gone into Rafah yet. Ramadan started today. Fasting started today. This is the holy month for the Muslims. Okay? The uproar in the Islamic world will be intensified by the slaughter. So if the Israelis decide to go into Rafah during the month of Ramadan, the entire Muslim world will be upset. And I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea, but I know they will be upset with Israel because this will be a mass killing of Muslims, Palestinian Muslims, and others. Because make no mistake, not all Palestinians are Muslim. They're not. The first suicide bomber ever on the Palestinian side was a woman, and she was Christian, but she was Palestinian. What people don't understand is the history of Palestine. For a long time, right? It started as a Roman province, more or less, right? Palestine. Then, it became, I guess, it was run by the Arabs for a while, then it was run by the Turks for 600 years. It was always a province. And everybody lived there. Jews, Christians, Muslims, and religions you have never heard of. Okay? Yazidis and other splinter groups, tiny ones, Armenians, Armenian Orthodox. They all lived quite happily in Palestine. After the Crusades, there was a balance. They found peace in Palestine, believe it or not. And under the Ottoman rule, it was good. The Ottomans only cared about taxes. Pay me my taxes. You do what you want. I don't care what you do, as long as you pay taxes, right? No one was forced to be Muslim or Christian or Jew or anything like that. All these, they all worshipped quite freely because it's obviously, a very important place for all three religions. Right? It was only after World War I that this whole thing fell apart, when the Europeans imposed their borders and their idea of what it should be. And then it got worse after World War II, when you couldn't really deny the Jews or the nascent Israelis their own state, because one of the problems that the Jewish people have always had, they've never had a homeland, right? That they could call their own and run to, if you will, and this is mine and I can defend it. And after World War II and what Hitler did, nobody in their right mind would say, well, you can't do that. Not really. They've had support, significant support ever since. Especially once after the 6 Day War, when they showed the world they can actually stand on their own 2 feet. So it is a really complex situation. But right now, there's no good outcome here. There is no good outcome. This will end in tears. And we haven't seen anything yet, Dave. This is going to be horrendous. It is going to be so bad that future generations, they will shake their head and go, how could you let this happen?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, they will point at America and say, all you had to do was stop the armament shipments. Why didn't you stop sending them bullets? Right? And they go, because we got paid real well, which is true.
I can imagine if Trump got in, because he wanted to end all the, when it's not going to participate in these stupid wars.
Yeah, but this is different. This is Israel.
Oh,
Trump.
No.
Trump is the guy who moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
That's right.
Now, that's a big no-no. because Jerusalem is a contested city.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody claims it. Tel Aviv was it's like Canberra. Tel Aviv is like Canberra. It was a compromise. Yeah, look, in Australia, our capital city is a compromise because neither Melbourne nor Sydney was going to get it. So they built a city somewhere in the middle, which is Canberra. Right? It's a purpose-built capital city.
It's
and Tel
actually
Aviv,
it's like the Vatican City. It's actually a city within a state.
correct. That's exactly right. It's like its own little sovereign entity with
Mm-hmm.
different laws, in fact. Believe it or not. And Tel Aviv is like that. The Israelis would love for Jerusalem to be the capital city, right? But that's not a good idea.
That there's a Nostradamus quatrain about the end of the world coming when the true owners of the Temple Mount, get ownership again.
Oh, okay. Well,
because the moment there's only a wall, that's all I have.
No. The Wailing Wall. And the question though is, and I don't want to get into it, but who are the
that's a really good point. Yeah, I know.
So, but it's a fair point. And the funny thing is this: I don't want to get too much into it, but there are several types of Jewish people in the world. There's the Ashkenazim, there's the Sephardim, which are the two main groups, and then you've got the Ethiopian Jews, which are in fact the oldest Jewish tribe that we know of, with the oldest forms of religious texts, which are not at all treated equally in Israel because they're black. So, nice bit of racism there. Mm-hmm. But the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim are fundamentally different. So the Sephardim are the Jews that are, I guess, from the Mediterranean and from Palestine or Israel itself, from that area, right? They're darker skinned. They're more Semitic looking, right? Or Hashemitic looking, more Arabic looking, right? Whereas the Ashkenazim are the European Jews. And they're usually, more fair-skinned, and they look more European than anything else. And the story here is that those Ashkenazim, now again, I don't know if this is the truth, 100% or not, are meant to come from the Khazar Empire. So the Khazar Empire existed somewhere in Central Asia, right? And it was encroached by Christianity from the west and Islam from the east, and they didn't like either. And they decided, you know what, the entire Khazar Empire is just going to become Jewish, or we take on the Jewish religion, which they did, apparently. And rather than, I know this is very controversial. I know rather than being one of the 10 lost tribes, as it were, of Israel that then wandered into Europe, some believe that it might have been the Khazars or the Khazar Jews, which are not really ethnic Jews from the area, but they took on the religion, right? It is them that formed the backbone of the Ashkenazim Jews in Europe, rather than the Jews that are actually physically from the Middle East here, right? From Palestine, Israel, whatever we call it these days. So it's really it's fascinating stuff, and you're really in a time machine to get the truth out of it. I'd love to see what the genetic information says on that. By the way, totally. Fascinating. So, look, Dave, but it is insane.
I'll tell you what's fascinating, Mackie. Your knowledge of history is crazy. I'm so in awe of it. I'm going to tell you that.
No, it's just.
Don't talk it down. You know heaps. So
make it all up. That's what you do. You make it up. It's just the shadows on the wall. Everybody, you can make it up too.
That's it. Hey, I wanted to speak to this, cost of living, and I was watching this morning. It was from last night, but I was watching this morning. A lady on the ABC being interviewed, and she was the first person to actually speak the truth about the cost of living crisis.
Oh, wow.
The truth being that this wasn't consumer-driven, inflation, which is what happens. That's one way of getting inflation. She said that we were hit by, the fuel price, and that affected the goods cost, and they had to put them up, she said. But she also said this is happening all around the world. The cost of living it's becoming unreasonably unhealthy for all of our nations around the world to be able to afford what we used to afford, and therefore blah blah blah. And putting the interest rates up is just basically a cash grab, because they've only got one lever.
Yes.
And I've said this before, they've only got one lever to control the economy. It's like a ship, you've got the accelerator, like the thing is all ahead full, or stop, or all ahead in reverse, right? That's the interest rate lever, and that's all they got. So we'll move it. Sure, let's move it. And then suddenly no one has any money, and now they're talking about they've gone way too far, and we might actually be heading into a recession as a result.
Yes.
And but her honesty about it's not isolated to Australia. This is everywhere. Now I've got a funny side note to this. There was an article in the newspaper in England that the cost of living, the calculation the government uses, which is in Australia only the shopping trolley full of goods. So how much this is their only way of measuring the cost of living. So the typical goods that you need to live in a shopping trolley, and I'm not talking about frozen pizzas, right? As from the pandemic, when we lost power, the guy had bought all the frozen pizzas in a trolley and pushing them across the road. There must have been 30 of them. Didn't have any power. They're going to go off. They're going to thaw pretty quickly, and then you've got to consume them all. So good luck with that. And I'm sure he wasn't having a party because he was going across to the trailer park. So he probably had into himself. In England, the shopping trolley of goods has now included vinyl records.
What?
Yeah, totally. They said vinyl's coming back. It's true.
Oh, I think that's true, yeah.
However, now, there was CDs or something formerly in there, and, they all disappeared because we now do streaming services. But the mosquitoes, or if you like, leeches of all these online costs that we now have that our parents never had, ever. They didn't have to spend, $400 a month on streaming services or cable TV for that matter. And they didn't have to buy their water. They just had rates. They had council rates. That was it. Anyway, so I can't believe that vinyl's making such a comeback now in England. It's part of the shopping trolley or the shopping cart's worth of essentials. How is it an essential? See, what people think that the house prices contribute to the cost of living. Not at all. Not even counted. Not even counted. And there's been this last point, there's been some minor report, but they call it packages within the news. A minor one that didn't make the main news at the end of the night, but it was shown through the day. And it was that the cost of having a car has gone up more than 25% in the last year. And this is because of tolls. And there's a huge thing about Sydney and all the tolls that just takes all your money away. And all the roads that aren't toll roads that go between A and B are now overutilized because everyone doesn't want to go off the toll roads. They can't afford it. It could be hundreds a week in tolls. So I just want to put that out there. And the final thing that I'm handing to you is in the international news, you see the European farmers protesting en masse about their treatment by the big retailers, gouging people at the end, at the retail front, but they're getting paid less for the production of their foods. So in the middle is making margin on both sides, more and more of it, and the farms are shutting down because they can't afford to plant
They had this
for the next season. Yeah.
They had this one guy, Dave, I think on the news. His family had been farming for over 100 years. I can't remember what it was, but essentially what you just said.
Was it macadamia plants or something? It was some kind of plant, wasn't it?
It might have been. He had to shut down.
No, it was cherries, I think.
Ah, you're right. It was cherries and apples.
Yeah.
And he had to shut down, like exactly as you just described. Because we're not getting any more money for what we produce. Our costs have gone up, but the supermarkets have increased their prices astronomically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the look. At this point, the government, in my opinion, should step in and say, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing here? This is not right. We have to regulate it. Okay, it has to be regulated." And what happens when all the farmers are gone, Dave? What are we going to do then?
I don't know. I've stared at my neighbour long and hard, and I'm sure I'll get at least a couple of meals out of it. It's eating the neighbour, by the way.
But I understand.
It's a survivalist joke, right? That's a joke.
So you smoke it.
The challenge was asking the government if they could put a cap on the amount of fuel excise that we have to pay. Because, in Mecca, our fuel's pretty expensive. If you go to New Zealand, it's even more expensive. And if you go into some of the Asian countries, geez, it's cheap. Like crazy cheap.
It is cheap.
And it's because it's taxed and excised and fees and levies to the point where I forgot how much it really cost. Isn't it crazy? Because it's gone up now for no reason whatsoever. I think, supply, right? Supply issues because of the canal. But hang on a minute, don't we buy it from Singapore? Oh yeah, that's right, we do. And where does it come from? Like the Middle East and maybe? No, not actually. So it's all from the equatorial region. So within our zone, we have our own, rigs and oil rigs and things like that and processing. So
we do.
It doesn't make any lick of sense why it's gone up.
It does, so they can make more money. It's a really simple solution. Right. It's a really simple answer to a seemingly complex question. Why is it all more expensive? So I can make more money and have more ships and boats and blow and all kinds of things. Hurrah!
In one of the Young Ones episodes, Neil is trying to tell Rick in the back garden, "Oh, you don't understand the timeless wonder of the whole thing. You see, we plant the seeds, nature grows the seeds, then we eat the seeds, and then we plant the seeds," and it's infinitum, right? So it's very funny. And this is it. This is the same concept. Oh, no, you see, we just make more money.
That's it. And what is astounding to me is this, Dave. It is the middle people that make the money. People in the middle make the most money.
Yeah.
Not the people that do the work.
Not the producers or the customer. No.
And not even the people that
ship the stuff around.
Yeah, or even the people that sell it to you in the end. They don't make.
Yeah.
It boggles the mind. It really does. It boggles the mind, and we've come to a point now where you no longer, and we've spoken about this, and there was only a few minutes left, but we've spoken about this. You no longer have to contribute anything to anything, but you can make a lot of money. You can make, you can make enormous amounts of money, right?
Yeah, where's this money that I should be getting then?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, you're productive. You're actually doing stuff, so you're not going to get it. Sorry, brother.
Dang it.
And I find that the less productive you are, the less you contribute to any good in the world, the more money you're likely to make. I mean, seriously though, look at where the money is. It's not the people making things. It's not the people digging up things. It's not the people growing things. It's not even really the people that are working in the shop selling it to you.
No, that's true.
It is all the people in the middle, and ideally they don't do anything, because the middle people, they actually do stuff, right?
Yeah.
You want a job where you contribute nothing, like a stockbroker contributes nothing to society, zero.
Parasites.
In fact, takes away completely. Parasite. And the system that we've built here for ourselves, and make no mistake, we built this system, including all the legal stuff and
all the supporting framework. That's right.
All of it. We made it. It didn't come down from heaven, and God didn't give it to us. We made it all.
The Anunnaki is not on any of their instructions.
No. And the thing is, we've now allowed parasites to completely bamboozle us. Because the thing is this.
Just the way
it is. If you don't like any of this, you take people to court, right? Number one, first of all, it will bankrupt you. That's number one. Because you can't afford it. They've made it so that normal people can't go to court anymore. Right?
That's right.
And then, but secondly, even if you could, their lawyers would bamboozle the court, and the court really doesn't have an interest to do justice. They just interpret the law.
That's right.
And these parasites have enough money to get other parasites, which are called the lawyers, in there to bend and twist the law in such a way that it serves their purpose. And that's really all they do. That's their job. That is that. They don't see justice doesn't exist. Oh no, Mikey, that sounds terrible. There is no such thing as justice anymore. It doesn't exist. And the only thing that you have is the interpretation of the law, and the law was made by people, and it was made by people in power to control the people that shouldn't be in power, according to the people in power.
That's right.
It's funny.
I think I counted 8 different groups of people that we're going to get hate mail from.
I don't really care. But that's where we are.
I know. Oh, I forgot a point. The point was about the fuels. And there was a live cross to a fellow who, I'm not going to say his name or anything. I'm not going to be cruel to him in particular, except that he was so focused on electric vehicles solving the planet's problems that even when the anchor in the live cross asked, well, what about alternative fuels? Completely dismissed them as a solution at all. At all. Not even, no, it's the EVs, you see. That's the fix. And I thought that was so funny, and I immediately turned off listening to anything else he said. Because a proper person would say we should be investigating all ways, every way, to be able to go into a future of being able to produce less carbon, because that's the current theme of the planet. Yep, that's it. Excellent. But I was astounded that he just considered any fuel bad, even hydrogen. Didn't care. No, it's still polluting, see? Oh, wow. I think you fell off this wagon.
Get rid of all that oxygen. The oxygen is going to kill us.
It's an oxidizer. We need antioxidants.
It's one of the most terrible things ever to put in your body. Oxygen will kill you, man. It'll kill you.
The next thing is everything needs electrolytes, and I'm happy. I'm happy, man. I can wear Crocs. We'll have a professional wrestler as president.
I'm honestly right now, I would have to rock before I have any
Me
of those
too.
two Muppets.
Totally.
Yeah. But look, they're both in their 80s. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Whoever wins this presidency will be in their 80s as they execute against it. Okay? Both of them. Oh my goodness, that went fast. Look, hey, thank you so much for sharing your precious time with Dave and I. This has been Plato's Cave. And stay on the line all the time. Something else is going to come up. Most importantly, though, be safe.